Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Alliance live show number 44. I'm your host, Ramon Azalab, aka Remon with the Alliance. I'm joined by my co-host and esteemed colleague, good old Maurice. How you doing today, buddy?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, fabuloso. Now, we haven't been on in a little while. We had a holiday, and also, I've been in the midst of a bunch of different things and moving, and I have my son, so it's a little bit of everything going on for me. But how was your holiday, Maurice?
It was good, man. It was pretty good. Family laid low.
Any
Just
barbe
what I needed.
any barbecues down there in the south?
We not for Easter. We generally save that for the spring and summer months.
I think I
but
figured I figured if there was any place in the world where you barbecue early,
yeah,
it'd be South Carolina.
not quite.
Okay,
About 2 more weeks.
all right, all right. Yeah, I'm looking forward for that season too. I mean, the weather's getting a little better. That's good, but a lot to talk about. So we have a whole bunch of information that's kind of come out over the last few days, last few weeks, really, and uh, we really want to just, I guess, dive right into it. First thing I want to discuss really was the Road Ahead post that they had the other day, and it kind of discusses how they're going to be a little bit more open with their communication over at Capital Games or EA, and uh, obviously they also released uh, the information about the rework for the bounty hunters. So we're going to get to see what that's all about. They're releasing Bossk, new character to the game, and the title of the stream here. So what do you think Bossk is going to do? They said he's going to have a new ability called. Let me see here.
Well, I know he's going to be a taunting tank, right? And I think that's what they said in the video, a taunting tank that the bounty hunters are missing. So that'll be alone a good addition. I mean, apart from any ability he brings, I mean, that's going to help them tremendously.
Yeah, they said that he's going to be that there's going to be a new ability for bounty hunters called or a new mechanic called contracts. So yeah, I mean, I'm kind of curious to see how he's going to work in the game, and how good he's going to be, with the rest of the bounty hunters, because the bounty hunters obviously are a faction that, much like the Night Sisters before they got their rework, are really like an unusable team, and I personally, that's really the main team that I have to work on for territory battles. That's the only team really I have to really get down right, so I can defeat those challenges a little bit easier. Uh, I mean, do you think that this will make them kind of like the Night Sisters, like the bounty hunters will, possibly be a new meta team?
Um, it's tough to say. A lot depends on these reworks. One character is not just going to make them viable. I don't think. Like they either need to make proper use of like the thermal detonator strategy, have it work a little differently, or just something else. All the characters are getting reworked, or well, the four original trilogy characters like Dengar, 88, Boba, and Greedo are all getting reworks, and I think they're all getting leader abilities. I think Dengar is getting a leader ability added to his kit, so
Dengar's getting a leader ability. Okay.
I believe so. Yes, yeah, getting a leader ability added. And the other three I mentioned already have leader abilities. Greedo's just needs to be just worked all together because it does the same thing as Boba, just not as much. Boba gets all these other goodies. Greedo just gets, something simple. And I mean, there's no reason at all to ever use Greedo unless you just don't have Boba Fett. If you don't have Boba Fett, then maybe you can use Greedo. But
So they're also making some adjustments to ships, and I guess they're adding a PVE table to ships. So much like we have for the warriors or the characters or the heroes, we have a light side, dark side battles. We're gonna have something, I guess, similar for ships, where you defeat content, and I guess you'll get rewards for that. What do you think it'll be like? I mean, we don't really have many options here, right? I mean, there's only four capital ships, so you
well,
really,
I'm not sure how they'll do this. I mean, if they're going to do it just like the character battles, it's going to be easy node and hard nodes. I mean, this could be the way they just dump a whole bunch of ships on us all at once. Just, you know, a whole new table with like a bunch of unique nodes and offer ships that we don't have. You know, there's something needs to be done. I mean, the most casual player in the entire game is now caught up to the most competitive player in terms of ship arena. You know, everybody has the eight. You know, everyone's team rotates is a little different, but I mean, for the most part, it's 8 to 10 ships you see every single day, every single fight. You know, every single player in your fleet chart now has all the pilots ranked up, all the ships are 7-star and ranked up. You know, it's just they do need to switch it up a little bit and give us at least new options.
They do have. I do almost have every ship now. I'm almost at 7-star with every ship. So I mean, it's going to be just really a couple more days here, and then I'll have, you know, all 3 of the hard node farms done, and then it's just a matter of you know, time before. That's it, really. I got the TIE silencer done, so everything's done. It'll be it. There'll be I guess a need for new ships with the PvE table, but I don't know. It's a, you know, the PvE table is a finite number of battles. I mean, I really don't know how much it's going to add. I mean, I hope they add like a whole, like kind of like when they dropped mods and we got all those mod tables, like as if you like started from scratch, like in the beginning of the game. I hope they give us all those battles. Like, so there's a lot of nodes and a lot of places to farm shards and different types of maybe gear, or, you know, maybe you know, with the introduction to hardware for ships, you know, we'll see, you know, that has to be farmed out of those locations. I'm sure that has something to do with it.
Well, okay, yeah. If they don't give us ships, hardware would be fine, because I mean, at least that makes our ships customizable, just like mods to the characters. You know, something, anything to kind of give some variance and some I don't know, just make your ship team unique.
Yeah, no, I agree.
We got nothing. Everybody's just fielding the exact same team, over the same speed, same everything. You know, maybe somebody has an extra Zeta or two, but that's about the only difference you're going to see.
No, you're right. Now, there was also a little talk about them changing the way chat works in game. So now you'll have sort of a global chat where you'll be able to talk to players outside of your guild.
Yeah, some sort of they're going to redo the chat. It'll be kind of like little sub menus, like, you know, you could sort different things and get in there and chat with your guild mates. I think you could PM, like, you know, you and I are in different guilds, but I think I could message you in the game somehow. That's
pretty cool. That's actually pretty cool. Yeah, that's an element that's definitely been, I guess, needed in the game. I mean, you know, I don't know if it'll become like, you know, like an AOL chat room. You know what I'm saying? But it still could be pretty cool.
It's probably gonna be pretty simple, you know, but it is a good way for anybody on, you know, to contact their shard mates and maybe get on the arena chat. It's a good way to look for a guild. But you know, at the higher end, you know, it's gonna be a good way to, you know, snake some members out of it. You know, just, I don't know.
No, I agree.
At the higher end, it's kind of good that you can't message just random people, you know, because then, you know, like every territory war at the higher level is going to turn into like just a recruitment spree. Like, you see somebody fields a good team on defense, so you just immediately message them like, hey, you know, we're kicking your butt in TW. Why don't you join our side? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I was thinking about that, like, you know, just like a poaching tool, you know. But
like, hey, your team's way too good to be in this guild. You should come join us and win. You know?
Hey, listen, that could be a legitimate thing. I mean, that could really be a problem with this. You know, that could totally be, like, you know, the increase in poaching could be tremendous. You know, but
well, you know,
but I mean,
dozens, hundreds of games like this with chat features. I mean, you know, it'd just be new for us. People are gonna get all bent out of shape about it. But
I would say, to be honest with you, though, most players that are at that level that you're going to be trying to poach them probably are involved in the forums in some way and have their name in there, or, you know, are on a line chat or a Discord, or there's some way to find them anyway. So if you were like trying to find specific players, I mean, I'm pretty sure there's anybody, you know, you could find a way to get in touch with them. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, if that was the case, it's just a matter of, you know, really doing the due diligence. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. I guess we'll have to just wait on that one. But they also discussed the way they're going to release characters, and that it's going to follow this certain cadence, and there's going to be a certain cadence for Mythic Events, and that they kind of tried to do something with these. I'm sorry, with marquee events, and they tried to do something with these, Mother Talzin events, and sort of the way they released Wicked, Mother Talzin, and Night Sister, Zombie, and Spirit, and it really didn't work out, I guess, the way they intended it to. So they're just going to continue to, I guess, provide us with the events for now, and soon they're going to put them in a farmable node. So that's going to happen pretty soon. They've been discussing that for a little while now, so I don't know when that's going to happen. But, and they're changing the way the Sith Triumvirate raids work. Do you know anything about this? The raid rewards?
Are you talking about the rewards?
Yeah, the raid rewards.
Yeah. It doesn't go live until the 11th. Because I was curious, because we just beat another, and I was going to see if the rewards were different, but they weren't. It's still currently the same. 11th, I think, is the estimated date of arrival. Basically, just going to normalize all our rewards, or at least one of the boxes. I'm not sure if you place in the top 10, 5, the where you traditionally get like an extra box, you might get something unique, but the whole guild shares, kind of like territory war battles. Everyone gets a couple pieces of this, couple pieces of that type of thing, but it's all the same. That's what it seems like. It says the guild will share a mystery box. Again, if you get first place, maybe you get an additional mystery box. That I don't know, but it is going to increase the guild currency that you earn. The little orange coins that you spend in the store, to where they just added all the gear. You got your character shards in there. So, if everyone in the guild does end up getting the same rewards, there's still an incentive to go for the leaderboard, the top 1, 2, 3, top 10 places, wherever you're falling, because you will get an increase in that guild store currency, which is not a bad deal, because instead of them just giving you, more furnace salvage, you can select the pieces you actually need and buy them out of the store. So I think it would be cool. I'm going to hold judgment on it, because I really have to see. I hope it's not going to be like, well, since we're all going to get the same thing, let's just let the top 10 guys in the guild carry us all the way. We don't have to do anything. It doesn't matter where we placed. I hope that's not the attitude, or I hope it's not set up to where that it encourages people to not be lazy, I guess. I'm a little worried about that, but we'll have to see, when it goes live.
Whereas, basically, somebody who's ranked 40 or 50 will still get the same rewards as somebody who's ranked in the top 10.
Yeah, with the exception of the store currency. Again, like I said, I haven't, I just read the same post you read. I haven't looked any deeper into it.
Mm-hmm.
If you get first place, you still might get the two extra boxes, whereas people from 11 to 50 all get the same. I don't know, but.
Well, I mean. Listen, I've been, clearing heroic Sith raids since the beginning, and we still have yet to get a full piece out of that, or any. I haven't gotten any territory wars full pieces or anything like that. I don't think. I think they've become very. It's kind of weird that I guess the top tier guilds aren't necessarily getting. The large pieces, and I know that from some of the guilds like Team Instinct, guilds that are top of the world guilds. I guess for some of those guys that have put a lot of money into the game, it's kind of frustrating, I guess, to not be getting some of those full pieces that people are getting in the lower GP brackets. Per se, at least that's what I've heard.
Oh well, we've yet to get the guild I'm in, Zai. How many light side, dark side territory rounds we've done now? I mean, it's at least a dozen. I mean, way even higher than that. But we haven't even sniffed a full piece. Nothing at all. Not even one time.
Nope.
We're getting 44 stars in light side now, and still just no full pieces. Just 5 of this, 6 of that. 4 of this, and then at the bottom they give you the stun guns and the stun cuffs, the older gear, but the useful older gear.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I haven't gotten any full pieces. I know I've seen some pictures from other guilds that have gotten it, but so I mean maybe the normalization of the rewards or basically changing the way the rewards work to make them a little bit more uniform is a good thing overall because you'll have a little
Well,
bit
you
more of
got
an
now on
expectation.
The Sith raid, you really have to look at it like because the last Sith raid was I got first place and I got my rewards. You know, I was kind of pumped, and I was like, well, this is awful. But then after looking at it, like where it said like the wristbands, where I thought it was just like two salvage, it was like two fully crafted like wristbands because I just had a whole bunch of plus signs just light up all over my roster. I had two of them. So
Really?
I mean, I was a little, oh yeah, I was a little pissed. But then, some of those salvage, they could be the full pieces. The Sith raid, the heroic raid, dropping them like crazy. And I hope that continues with the normalized type rewards.
So how are you guys doing with heroic now?
Oh, we're good, man. We're going for another one now. Actually, it's open. 7% left to P2. I'm sitting here watching it like a hawk, so I don't miss it because you get to P3 now, and everyone's using the Chex Mix, if you will, teams, and it's just open, and then you like look away for 10 minutes, look back, and the whole phase is done. Just so I'm trying to watch it so I don't miss it.
Do you think we're getting close to finding a team that's going to clear a phase or something like that in that raid?
I don't think we're getting close to a team that's going to clear a phase without, a rework or introduction of some new characters, maybe Bossk, who knows. But I think we will see teams that are better. Instead of, struggling to get, 1% with your Phoenix, there might be someone who's going to come up with like a P2 team that's an automatic, 5 to 10%, like just baby steps. And that's when people are like, hey, should I invest in these Ewoks? I can see Ewoks can do 1%. I see Phoenix can do 1%. And me personally, I have a hard time investing in Zeta in a team that I know is going to be inferior, right? Like I've already learned my lesson. Cody, I have a Cody on my bench that I haven't used in months. I've got really pimped out IG88, IG86. All these teams that we used in the tank raid because they were great. Remember the Ewoks way back when the Rancor was first released? Everyone leveled up their Ewoks because they had 5 minutes of fame where somebody figured them out, but then somebody figures something else out, and then these teams you invested in are no longer viable for that phase, and then you basically like the clones. I can't really use them for anything except some mop up duty in TW. I know McMull's found a new team, and with the Zeta, the 5 Zeta, that's doing some work, but I'm not going to put a Zeta on 5. That's just not in my plans. So.
No, I understand. I mean, it's trial and error. Again, there's different priorities. So I would say I'm definitely down to try to figure out a squad that can get a larger chunk of one of these phases done. I'm still struggling right now with some of the damage to get over over 3 million, 4 million damage in some of these phases with even my Ray Jedi trading team since they nerfed exposed. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm just hoping that somebody figures out something to get it done a little bit faster and eventually figure out ways to get larger scores so I can maybe get a little bit more competitive. I mean, right now I guess it is. I mean, in a way, because of the way it is, it's more competitive this way. But it's kind of like a rush at the end there to just really kind of like just zerg teams. I mean, at the end of the day, like we're getting to the phase 4. It's really just to throw in everything you have at it as fast as much as possible. I don't really feel like there's any strategy. There's no strategy really to it.
I will never forget. There was a old live show, and you and Wrath were talking about the best P4 teams in the Rancor, and Lord Wrath is a guy in our community. He's just my P4 strategy is throw the characters in that have the quickest basic attack. Just to fire them off the fastest. Like you can't be using Dooku, these characters with slow animations. You just want to get the quick just the quick hitters, just like like mobbing force, just like fast characters that just with fast animations.
It's funny. All right, let's move on to the meta report here. We're gonna go over to the gallery, and we're looking at our top 10 rank 1 leaders on SWGOH.gg. So just taking a glance here at where we're at, it looks like more of the same. Obviously, it looks like a split between Rey and Rex as the leader to counter Emperor Palpatine. But obviously, Emperor Palpatine still taking a large share of the space here. I mean, what's your arena looking like? I mean, are you seeing still a lot of Palpatine teams, or is
Oh
it?
yeah, I would say there's a handful of really strong Rex teams, but they're not like your traditional it's like a Rex with like a double Zeta crew and Zeta Scion, Talzin, and like Wampa, just something ridiculous. Like these teams are really hard. Like I can't beat them with my Palpatine team. I have to cycle in my Night Sisters, my old Night Sister team, just to beat them. But there's maybe 3 or 4 really strong Rex teams. Then everybody else is Palpatine. There's nothing. There's maybe 3 or 4 guys with Rey in the top 20, but everyone falls pretty far. It's really not a very fun meta right now.
It's it's a far cry. It's a far cry from the good old days. I'll tell you that for sure. I remember a time when you could throw a team in there and it would hold on defense. And I guess for when it was still awesome like that, I feel like that was a time that I really was jacked up about arena and trying to get in there and do my battles, especially for payout time. Now I feel like it's a little bit different. I mean, there's more of like a normalization of arena, I guess. And really the teams that rank 100 are almost just as talented as the teams that rank 5 or 6. It's just a matter of who's willing to put the effort in and spend the time to sit there before 6 or 7 or 8 o'clock and just wait for their payout time. And that's kind of discouraging because I was always a big fan of arena. That's my favorite part of the game. So even though it's not live, at least it was somewhat competitive, and you could also really try to theory craft good teams that would hold their place based upon the mechanics of the game. Now, I know the mechanics of the game are a lot more complex now, so that makes it a little bit more difficult to think of a good team that can hold against all these other squads, because there's always a counter to anything out there now. There's so many characters now in the game. But it would be interesting if they started to make, I guess, the curve a little bit larger between players, so that there was a way to make it or a way to make somebody elite in arena if they played right or thought of the right team to put together. But listen, the meta shifted to this, so the meta may shift back one day. We'll have to see what happens.
We'll see. Hopefully, these bounty hunters bring at least the pain, or at least
I think
nothing else. It'd be nice for them to counter Palpatine some way.
I think they will be kind of like the Night Sisters in that they will come into the fold here, and they'll possibly take a place as like a replacement or a counter to specific squads. Like the Night Sisters are a great counter to certain teams, like Barriss Offee teams with her Zeta teams. I mean, you can really use the Night Sisters against a lot of different squads, but they're a great counter, and they're usable even at lower star levels in some cases with, let's say, specifically Night Sister Zombie, for example. But
like this bounty hunter rework, like it could be something as simple as Vanguard's getting leader build. It could be all bounty hunters start the match with tenacity up, the end, and that's the end of the Palpatine meta. It could be something very simple like that could switch it and just at the drop of I mean, we could look at this next live show and it could just be way different. I mean, it's been
if there was an all allies start the match with tenacity up for 3 turns or something like that, that would be OP. Yeah, you would need that would bring B2 back into the mix for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, B2 be all of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe B2 teams. But yeah, for sure. All right, let's take a look at the top 10 squad members. That pretty much wraps up the top 10 leaders. Kylo Ren Unmasked is there. I mean, it's really pretty much the same squads, your Grand Admiral Thrawn, your Grand Admiral Thrawn teams, your General Kenobi teams, with Barriss Offee, Admiral Akbar, with Hermit Yoda. Those are pretty much the majority of the squads there. Saj Ventress and Mother Talzin representing the Night Sister squads out there. But let's move on to the top 10 squad members at rank 1. And Grand Admiral Thrawn is number 1, obviously because of the Palpatine meta. I don't really see much change other than Darth Sion I see has moved up quite a bit in his use. The more and more people will have him, I guess, like Gear 12 now or Gear 11, and are using him in their squads. I mean, even at a lower level. Are you seeing a lot of Darth Sion?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, we have a handful of guys with the 7-star, max Scions, but I mean, guys are sitting there using 3, 4, 5-star, especially with that Zeta. It's just, well, basically, I mean, the reason you don't even have to have a good Scion. You use Scion because with the new rework, not rework, yeah, I guess it was a rework for Nihilus, like his unique, every time Scion suffers a debuff, it gives Nihilus 10% turn meter. So if the opposing Vader goes first, he's going to drop, up to 4 debuffs on you. That's just going to fuel Nihilus, tons of turn meter, and then he gets to go and drain everybody else's cooldowns. That's why I like to use Scion, just to get Nihilus going faster.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of like Nihilus circa 2018. I mean, he's pretty much, he's pretty much what Nihilus was last year. So he's a character that you can use at a lower star level. He's a character that enhances that Empire team with or Sith/Empire team with Palpatine. And if you throw Nihilus in the mix, obviously there's a tremendous advantage there to with the 2 uniques, and that'll only increase when Darth Traya gets unlocked here by somebody. I wonder who the first person is going to be to unlock Darth Traya. I'm sure it'll be somebody somebody we know. But I definitely want to work on my Scion. As soon as he becomes farmable in some sort of store, I'm not going to wait till he's farmable. I think he's going to a hard node. So I'm going to start to farm him out of the shipments with crystals. But I'm going to get him from there. I just didn't want to go with the packs. I was going to wait till I could buy him out of the store.
Well, I will say, I mean, coming from my first-hand experience, I was very, very underwhelmed with Scion. And then, I leveled him all the way up, and then, I was like, well, if I'm this far in, let's go ahead and put that Zeta on him and just make, I basically was just sour grapes about it, like, oh, I made it, let's try to make a bad decision worse. But then I put that Zeta on him, and just instantly my attitude changed. I mean, he is something else with that Zeta. Like, you can get that held by hatred if you got your team lined up properly, and everyone's attacking Scion. So I mean, he can drop that held by hatred, third turn, and that's a game changer. There's been a few games. He's very similar to the way remember when Kylo first got that Zeta, and everyone's just like going in there. It'd be like 4 versus 1, and Zylo would just take out the whole team for you on Arena.
Pretty much,
Scion can do that because he pops that held by hatred. If he's the last one standing with that Zeta, every time somebody attacks you, it basically decreases that cooldown. So, and he's just sitting there regenerating protection, regenerating health, and when you kill him, he comes back to life, and the held by hatred's ready again. And you just goes and goes and goes, and he hits hard when he's got that buff above his head. I mean, I've written on that special move for 35K. I mean, that's pretty. That's pretty. In one shot.
That's pretty heavy. That's pretty heavy for sure. But that's really the main change here. I mean, Darth Nihilus is up there, Palpatine. I mean, all the pieces to the Palpatine team are in the mix. Vader. Then you see a little bit of the Rey Jedi training squad with R2-D2 and BB-8 rounding out the top 10. Han Solo, obviously, from CLS squads. Really, Han Solo for any squad. I mean, Han Solo is that good of a character now. You can kind of use him in a couple of different teams, whether you're using him for a CLS team or an Akbar team or anything like that. But that's pretty much it. Grand Admiral Thrawn, though, the most used character in the game still. All right, so let's move on to our top 5 for the week. And this week we're doing top 5 defensive teams for territory wars, courtesy of the Alliance and good old Maurice. So who's our fifth squad here, Maurice? Who's the number 5 team, best team for defense in territory wars?
I believe that is Maul, correct? We went with Maul here.
Yes.
Let me try to find this list. Okay, I got you. I got it now. Yeah, now, just a little disclaimer. When you're looking at some of these slides, these might not be the absolute ideal teams. It all depends on what you and your guild want to do. But these teams are all just solid choices. Let's say maybe you're a guild leader, a guild officer, you guys are struggling, and you kind of want to redo your defense. All these options are going to be great. You just have to decide which 5 really work the best for your guild. Maul is he the best? No, that's why he's number 5. But he can be annoying, especially if you put him towards the back of the map. People are starting to run out of Maul counters, and you got like Maul, Sith Assassin, Sith Trooper, Savage, and Nihilus. You can argue maybe Nihilus and Sith Trooper are better on another team, but just this is a very good team that a lot of people have, especially if you've played, for over a year. You played through the Maul meta from a year and a half or so. But a lot of people have Zeta Maul, so you might as well put them to use. Not every zone on territory wars can be like a hardcore meta wall. You are going to have 1, 2, depending on how large your guild is. You can have multiple kind of gimme zones. And Maul's a good filler for those types of zones.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. Again, not every team is going to be your number 1 meta team, but you have to fill all the different walls in the territory war to block the other team and try to defend. So a Maul team is a good team on defense because of the speed factor off the bat, right? Because Maul with Zeta gives you instant turn meter basically to allow you to start the battle first. And that's a huge advantage, especially when teams are going to try to go in there against your Maul teams, not using their most heavily or the best meta teams. I mean, you're not going to be taking a Rey Jedi training team in to fight Maul unless you're doing something completely wrong. So you're gonna unless you're doing something terribly wrong, you're probably going to try to beat that Maul team with a lesser team, and a lot of times that will put you in trouble if the Maul team is zated and again has the correct components, especially Sith Assassin, Sith Trooper are key to this team because Sith Assassin also gives everybody turn meter, and Sith Trooper is a great addition too. Obviously having a Zeta on Savage would be a huge bonus, and a Zeta on Nihilus' Unique would also be a huge bonus. But overall, this team with a Zeta on Maul can give you an instant defensive team, and that's what you need is the ability to try to put as many teams as possible out there just to try and block your opponent. But let's move on to number 4. So our number 4 top territory wars defensive team is the First Order. Why did we go here?
First Order. First Order, and actually Mr. Wonderful in the chat just said First Order is insane. The Kylo Ren and his Zeta leadership gives a lot of speed, gives crit damage, gives recovering protection and health. It can make it a real nasty team. The newer characters are unfortunately ideal, and we don't have a way to get the Executioner yet. But he will be farmable very, very soon, per the cadence that they have gone over and over and over again, that they are trying to follow it. So, First Order Executioner should be farmable a couple weeks. But pretty much any combination you are going to want, I will say First Order Officer and First Order Stormtrooper are probably going to be locked in with crew, and the other 2 are up for debate. Like in the picture here, you've got Special Forces TIE Pilot and the old school Kylo. If you do have a Zeta on your Kylo, your regular old school Kylo, he has a good slot in because he gets turn meter to the team as AOE, and he self buffs every time he does that AOE. Gives himself retribution, which underneath that crew lead will give you health and protection regeneration. So he's very, very tough to kill. We all know, and this is the main gripe about him from a year ago, is the AI favors the AOE. So not a bad choice for a team. This is actually becoming more and more popular. If you field this team, you do want to make it fast because it is extremely susceptible to a Finn lead, a Finn resistance team lead. So you do want to try and get them as quick as possible to get out in front of Poe, but to stop them, to stop the resistance train. So that can be kind of difficult. But Zetas, the crew leadership is definitely number one. And I would probably do First Order Stormtrooper and then Crew's passive as well. And that's 3 Zetas. Any viable team that we're probably going to talk about from here on out, the rest of the time we play the game is going to require 2-3 Zetas. So this is not a bad option. They all have shifts. This is a good team to put on your radar if you haven't started them yet.
I agree 100%. I think that the KRU teams are a great defensive team. Also, again, because of the screenshot here, you can interchange some of these pieces here, and Kylo Ren masked Kylo Ren, the original Kylo Ren, can totally be replaced with a First Order Executioner. I think would be a better choice actually, because Kylo Ren does tend to favor the AOE, and he does also. He just makes bad decisions overall. On offense, you can utilize him a lot better, and he's a great piece to add to, let's say, maybe a Boba Fett-led team, or some random team, some hodgepodge team you want to throw together for territory wars to try to get maybe a win against a partially defeated team, or maybe a win against a weak team. And if you use him correctly, I mean, he's definitely somebody who can almost take out a couple of characters on his own if they've been depleted as well. So, I mean, he's somebody you want to put or save for offense, I would say for sure. And First Order Stormtrooper, I'd say, is a great option to Zeta. I would say his Zeta is an important one. And obviously the 2 KRU or Kylo Ren on mass Zetas are key and ideal for a defensive team in territory wars as well. But this team can, again, be one of the better teams for defense. Again, you're not going to be able to have 5 CLS teams out there. You're not going to be able to put 5 CLS teams out there. So you're going to have to pick some other teams for territory wars defense, and First Order is definitely one of them. But let's move on to number 3, best territory wars defensive team, and that's going to be the Rey Jedi training team with Hermit Yoda and K2SO. So, why did we go with this team, Maurice? Why did we go Resistance here?
Well, Jedi training Rey, this is a very mod dependent team. The faster your BB-8, your R2, basically your whole team is, the better it's going to do. There's all sorts of mix and match pieces here. You've got the Hermit Yoda and the K2SO, GK, Old Ben, Scavenger Rey. Some people use, Poe, which isn't the best. Resistance Trooper is an option, just to get an interchangeable piece, just to see what your guild works best for your guild. Because we can tell you the 5 best teams all night long, but if your guild doesn't have, 25 Reys or, however many Reys you want to use, then you can't field it. So, a lot depends on what your guild has. I mean, as officers and leaders, you probably want to go through and just take a quick count of maybe some of these teams you talk about tonight, what you can do and is feasible for you. This team is good. It's very susceptible to Night Sisters. But all of these teams, the longer we're playing these TWs, the quicker we're, the better we're getting at the game. We're finding out, this counters this counters that, this counters this. So to succeed at TW, you have to have, ABCD defensive teams, and you need on offense, ABCD to counter those. That's pretty much. You need at least 8, 9 teams territory wars, and this is definitely one on defense, because it's very difficult to beat with just like throwing together 5 characters on your roster. Like if you don't have a preset team ready to fight Rey, ready to fight CLS, whoever else, it's tough to do. And this is a good team. A team, this is probably a more advanced team, because she is a pretty difficult to get character. If you guys have missed Rey the first and now the second time, you really should just finish your vets. Don't put them off, because in the post they've announced they're not going to be so open about the upcoming legendary events. Now they do want it to be more of a surprise for us. I'm not sure if that applies to new ones or reoccurring ones, I don't know. Just to be safe, I would get your veterans done. And just finish them. Like if you came up a little short last time, Ray, don't switch gears, go somewhere else. Get your veterans to 7 stars, and just be done with it because you want Ray. I don't know if you could beat the raid, the Sith raid without Ray at this point. I mean, I don't think we could.
She's such an important piece to the game at this point. Yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm definitely glad I went and made the investment to try to get the smugglers done. When they first came around, or when the event first came around. So if you haven't gotten Ray yet, you definitely want to make that a priority. As far as this squad composition is concerned, again, much like many of these squads, they are interchangeable in certain components. Again, you can use different options besides Hermit Yoda and K2SO. I've seen this particular squad do very well in defense. Me and Maurice had different opinions about some of these squads. I think that this one works very well. It has for me on defense, and it's also a great option because you get protection with K2SO. Hermit Yoda consistently heals the team. I have a Zeta on K2SO, so he gets protection regeneration. And, obviously with the Rey leadership, that's also a huge bonus because she has foresight. If you put a Zeta on BB-8's unique as well, that also gives him, besides the unique that works with resistance, he has another unique that benefits droids. And that really works well with K2SO or other options. I mean, I've also ran with B2 in his position and done very well with that. So you can definitely choose some different options there for that 5th slot. But overall, great defensive team. And ultimately, you can guarantee that they're going to have to use some sort of a meta team to defeat this team, or multiple different teams to try to defeat this team. So this is a great one to throw in there. But we're going to move on to our number 2 best Territory Wars defensive team, and that's going to be our Emperor Palpatine Sith/Empire team. Now, why did we go Empire with number 2?
Well, because this team is extremely annoying on defense, especially when you have to have Palpatine and Zeta, and you're probably going to want to have Scion Zeta. But that's really all you need to make this team click. And this team, now there are better options. Like obviously, this isn't Arena, this is TW. So like you could put in Nihilus, but then you're not going to have Nihilus somewhere else. So you got to balance it. These 5 characters here are a nice team. It doesn't really interrupt any other ones. Tarkin looks kind of odd here, but he does give lots of debuffs, and he does fuel lots of turn meter gain when those debuffs expire or Vader Culling blades them away. So he does give a lot of turn meter to this team and himself. And Sith Trooper, you just want to make him as tanky as possible. Scion the same way. Scion, you're actually going to put some offense on, so you do have a little bit of offense on this team. Because, like I was saying, that held by hatred, he will start popping you when he has that popped. When he has it activated. So very good team. It's not a team that you could get really out in front of, just using leftovers in your roster. You almost have to save like a Rex lead or like a Thrawn lead. A lot of people are using with the Magna Trooper trick. So that team does work well. But for lower GP guilds, Magna Trooper is not really somebody you should invest in. He's so hard to gear. He's a big investment. He's not very usable, in very many areas. So this team is extremely difficult for lower GP guilds.
Agreed.
But this is a newer comp. Whereas we've seen some of these other teams, since the creation of TW, this is a newer comp. So we got a lot of creative people in the community. They will come up with ways, still formulating ways to beat this team. And in a month from now, it's not going to be any more difficult than the rest of them. You just have to plan accordingly.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, again, my particular squad composition here will be a little bit different. I would probably go with, in that 5th slot, either Darth Nihilus or possibly even Wampa. But I think that this team is a great defensive team. Again, Wampa I would probably use because if you have a Zeta on Wampa, Wampa's unique. With Vader, you can get a huge benefit because of the dots. And I also think if you have a really good Darth Scion, there's a huge benefit to having Darth Nihilus in there for the turn meter gain that he gets as well. So it's a great squad composition to put together. And Sith Trooper, again, if you didn't use him earlier in that Darth Maul composition, he's a great addition here behind the Emperor Palpatine lead, and obviously Vader. Getting all that speed to start the encounter, you're going to want to speed him up as much as possible, so he goes first, and this team will be a really annoying team to defeat, and it's definitely going to need a meta team. So you're going to have to use either a Rey Jedi training team or a Thrawn team or some team like that to defeat this team. And if you put the right pieces together on defense for this team, as far as mods are concerned, and then also as far as the Zetas are concerned, they could be a complete nightmare for opposing opponents. So I would say that this is definitely a solid choice here, number 2. With the Empire and Palpatine Zeta. But let's move on to our number 1 defensive team for Territory Wars, and that's the CLS Chase team with Captain Han Solo. Well, why did we go with CLS here, number 1? Why is he still the best defensive team?
Him and Palpatine are kind of 1A and 1B. This is a team, like I just mentioned, we've fought time and time again. But, if it's modded correctly, it can be a real pain. Captain Han is kind of interchangeable. You can use any sort of healer there. Some people use Jin. Some people use Hermit Yoda. Some people use Barriss. Some people will use Ahsoka Fulcrum, which is not you just bring more offense to it. So the core 4 are going to be CLS, Han, and Chase. And then, up to your guild and your personal roster, which uses the 5th. But it's just... Han gets in there and stuns the character right away. And, if you're trying to face this team with somebody, a lot of people are using, like, Boba Fett to take out Shurith, or they'll use, like, their Ewoks. Some of the higher-end guilds are using Ewoks to beat CLS. Stuff like that. If Han gets in there and stuns, it's random, but if he stuns a key character in some of those comps, it's very difficult to beat. Just constant health regeneration with turret. You got counters. We've all faced this team a billion times, and it's still, you have to plan accordingly for it. Like, you have to be ready to face it, have to have a team to beat it. Thrawn lead is very good to beat this. That's what I personally use. But now I'm kind of having to transition my Thrawn lead, for the Palpatines. It's unfortunate. So now I'm kind of, reaching for the bottom of the barrel for leftovers to beat this CLS team now.
But yeah, no, I think so too. I personally, I have mixed feelings about who's number 1, whether it would be this or Palpatine, but I do think that this composition works well, especially if you mix it up with, let's say, a Chase and having maybe Fulcrum Ahsoka there, possibly, Captain Han Solo, maybe you go with a Zeta Barriss, like you said, maybe even a utility character like General Kenobi or something like that, could be interesting as well if you haven't used him. But overall, great squad. Obviously, huge benefit with the damage if you put a Zeta on Han Solo's unique. You want to have, all of CLS Zeta. Everything is great, but if you have to go with something specifically, I'd say his leader ability is probably the last one that you need. I'd say his unique, and what would you say are the priorities for CLS?
Binds all things would be the first. And then I actually, not long ago, I just sucked it up and put the one as leader. It's kind of boring, but it does wonders. Not wonders, but it does. You can see a benefit from it because you have lots of debuffs on this team. On this team specifically, you've got Captain Han, who has a daze, which if they're Empire, I don't think they can be resisted, but I think it can against another. I'd have to look. Baze, every time he counters, he has a chance to drop speed down. So if you really neglect Baze of any potency at all, he will resist that speed down a good bit to feed turn meter to your team. Captain or CLS himself, has 2 debuffs on both of his attacks. You know, the leadership, basically whenever an enemy resists a debuff, you know, it gives 5% turn meter. So there's ways to manipulate it and make it more useful than it looks on paper.
I would say his leader looks fine. Again, I just feel like it's fine as it is. I think the Zeta on it does give some benefit, but I think the other 2 Zetas are more ideal and more important. And I think that's ultimately with a 3 Zeta character, a legendary character, a hero's journey character, CLS, you're going to want to Zeta all of his Zeta abilities because he's just that important of a character in this game. So eventually you're going to want to get there regardless. But priority-wise, I'd say his other 2 abilities, before, you know, rather than his leader. Obviously,
yeah, leader's definitely not mandatory, not at all.
I'd say Han Solo. Han Solo is unique, makes him night and day, a completely different character. So you're going to want to Zeta that and just get these other characters to Gear 12. I mean, I think that besides that, again, like the other squads, you can add or subtract a couple of different components here. But overall, definitely one of the best defensive squads on territory wards, and somebody you're going to need to seriously throw a heavy or meta squad at to try to defeat. Unless you are, you know, quick on your feet and you can think of a good alternative, or you know, put some good components together, or you just have some really, you know, well-geared squads out there that can, you know, at least take a chunk out of this team, so you can throw a second team in there and finish them off. But moving on to our honorable mention, we're going to say the Night Sisters are an option for defense. So why do you think that the Asajj Ventress led Night Sister squad is a good honorable mention here?
Well, nobody uses this team on defense because it is very, very susceptible to the Imperial troopers, right? But I mean, like we mentioned earlier, every team has a counter now. And, you know, if you stick a zone of Night Sisters in the back, and everyone's, you know, using all their other meta characters to pick apart all, you know, all their characters to pick apart the other teams we just mentioned, you're going to get to this Night Sister wall, and you're going to be like, whoa, I don't have anything left to beat this with. And they can be a real, real pain, especially if you start Zeta them all out. You know, Daka's health increases, you know, Asajj gets all that stacking offense, stacking crit chance, turn meter, all sorts of stuff. This team is a team that's better suited for offense, but if you don't have talents, you could use any 5 Night Sisters in this. It's an honorable mention. This is the 6th best defensive team. You know, people are required to field 4. You know, so this is an option and an annoying one if placed properly. It all depends on your strategy.
Right.
Like all these teams we discussed, they all have counters. Like, oh, Night Sister sucks, you can counter them with troopers. Oh, Wraith sucks, you can counter with Night Sister. Yeah, they all have counters. So
that's true.
Yeah, this is just an option.
I would say the Night Sisters aren't really used on defense because they're such a great offensive team. I mean, you know, you can really use this team to counter against almost any team in the meta. I mean, if you, you know, I personally run Mother Talzin lead with all those revives. I mean, you know, by the end of most of my battles, I still have a full squad left because they've, you know, revived. I mean, of course, you can, you know, just go in there, and if you don't have the right mods against a certain squad, you can just get totally wiped out. But for the most part, if you, you know, if you go in there and you know, you take a look at the opponent and you have your team modded correctly, your Night Sister squad can take out almost any team out there. So you just have to use them correctly, and you know, make sure you go for the right targets first, and you know, just, you know, do a plan. And the Night Sister team can take out a CLS team. They can take out any meta team that needs to be taken out, really, and you just have to, you know, use them correctly, and that's pretty much the main reason why you don't really see them on defense. But the Asajj-led team is the better option for defense for sure, because of that turn meter manipulation, and they only gain momentum as they win battles. So if you win on defense with this team, then the next team that comes in to fight is going to be battling in Asajj Ventress that has stacked offense already, and they're already pretty much you know, all about to go because of all their turn meter manipulation. They're going to keep you at bay. So this is definitely a squad that can you know, last. And if you don't get rid of old Daka, those revives can come back and get you too. But yeah, that wraps up our top five defensive teams for territory wars, courtesy of the Alliance and good old Maurice. We're going to go on to back to some gameplay here, and we're going to actually do an abbreviated version of our questions section here. I believe we already have some questions from earlier in the stream. Let's get a couple of those questions in, and then we're going to go ahead and call it a stream here. It's late. We started late today, and I had a busy weekend at work. So, what's our first question that we have for the day, Maurice?
All right, we've got two here from Thank Kyrell. It says, with the introduction of the ship table, I guess he's talking about the PvE table. Do you think they will add normal characters in there? Do you think, I guess he's asking, do you feel like the hard node, like the ship hard node, will give characters like Wicket, Towson? Those are his examples. Maybe some of the characters don't have access to maybe a first order executioner type characters in there. Or do you think it will just be ships, or any at all?
I do think that it's not impossible for that to happen. Do I think that that's where they're going with it at first? No, I think that the purpose for that will be to add some sort of a component that can differentiate the different types of ships, so that not everybody has the same ships going at the same speed and having the same offensive or defensive capabilities. So I think that they'll add some sort of either gear or hardware and allow us to kind of customize our ships a little bit to make the arena for ships a little bit more competitive and more interesting. So I think it's going to be something like that, and I think it'll be ship shards. I do think we're going to get a lot more ships here because it is really an entirely different fashion or part of this game. It's not at all related to raids right now. The only real thing that ships has a part of is territory battles and territory wars because of the different sections that you have to use them in. But it's very limited, and I think that the addition of the PvE content, will be obviously a huge bonus, because it just adds another component to a part of the game that really has been kind of neglected, I feel, since the release of ships. I think that we definitely need more ship content, and this is a step in the right direction. But next question.
This one comes from Thank Kyrell again. Seeing the top 3 ranking in the raid gives you more currency. Does that make being a big fish in a small pond more appealing? Basically, I guess he's asking, does this new ranking or the new guild rewards benefit people that want to just get first place every day, I guess?
I'd say yes when the Sith raid is on farm. But because right now it is not, and being part of a competitive guild gives you the opportunity to complete heroic Sith raids and get Darth Treya shards, I think that until people have Darth Treya, there's going to be a huge benefit to being in a better guild. You know what I'm saying? But maybe
you've got to get it on full. You have to get there first.
Right.
It just.
Once you
think about.
Once you have that, once you have that done, maybe then at that point,
Well, I don't want to talk ill about anybody, but like a player with that type of mentality is going to leave you eventually anyway. That type of player is not going to be a long-term player. I don't know. I don't feel like that's a very good attitude to have. I'm not saying he himself is looking into that. I'm just, if somebody's just hopping around looking for a guild and get first place in, I don't really know.
It happens. There are those players out there, but yes, are those the kind of guys that you're really looking for? Obviously not. I mean, you want to have people that are dedicated to staying on your team and want to be there and want to help grow with your squad. But if to them rewards is the most important thing, and it's not about staying with your squad, it's about just getting rank 1 every day in raids and all that, then maybe it might be best for that person to go to a different place. You know what I'm saying? But and you really haven't lost anything anyway. But
guild makeups are a lot different than they were before. Like I can see this. I mean, this happened all the time in Rancor and Tank Raids. And sometimes, it is a player just lending their services, trying to be helpful, and that's a little different scenario than what I was talking about. But now, if you're in a guild, the guild has this whole plan formulated for all the game modes. You got territory wars, both the territory battles. You've got the raids. So, like, every guild, especially at least at the very, very high end of it, they all have farming lists specific to their needs. So, if you're in a guild and you farm up all these characters and you try to go to a different guild, you might end up being in last place because everybody else in that guild has a completely different, farming structure. Like, they've been farming different tunes for different things than you have. So, once you buy into a guild, like if you join a guild and you buy into their concept, it would kind of behoove you to stay there because you've built your roster for that guild. Like your guild, like if you came over to my guild with how you've been preparing for the last 3 months, it might be a nightmare for you, because you might not have the characters we need for this part, all sorts of stuff.
You also lose. You also lose any. You also lose your. You don't lose your respect, but you lose your tenure. I mean, basically, once you go to a new place, I'm sure the leash for you is going to be shorter, and on top of that, they understand that you're somebody who's coming there specifically for rewards. So, I think that you're not going to be necessarily as beloved of a person there either. Because you're only there. Because you want to take rank 1, which will just make other players in that guild upset as well. So, but I didn't mean.
Yeah, I'd be a little upset if I worked with my guild and we all worked together to beat the raid. And then I'd built my roster. I spent hours and hours and hours building. I got to the top 3, and then like a new guy comes and he's like, "Hey, I'm the new guy. Just take first place every day." I'm like,
Yeah.
But that's the way it is. I do think the majority of the hopping around, seeking new guilds, that's already coming. I wouldn't want to say to a stop, but it is slowing down a little bit. People are figuring it out. I think I was browsing Reddit earlier, and I think a guild of 120 million beat the heroic Sith raid. So it's already getting easier. We haven't had any really introduction of any new characters. We haven't had any level cap increase. People are just figuring out ways to beat it more efficiently than 2, 3, 4 weeks ago. So I think people are really starting to pump the brakes on the antsiness, so congratulations to that guild. Let me see if I can find it. But 121 million.
Yeah, congratulations for sure, absolutely.
That is impressive. That's the lowest I've seen. So kudos to them. I don't see their name in the post here, so that's odd. But congratulations to them.
Absolutely. Next question.
Next question comes from. Oh, it's one I missed. I just saw it. If I can't, here we'll do this one when I find that one. We have one from Mr. Wonderful next. It says, "Hey Remon, love the channel. Have you tried a Palpatine comp with Scion, GK, Thrawn, and Nihilus?" I guess he's asking if he wants. I guess that's for his arena team. He's thinking about Palpatine, Scion, GK, Thrawn, and Nihilus.
Well, thank you, Mr. Wonderful. I appreciate that. And yes, I have tried a team like that, and it's an amazing squad, especially if you have it all maxed out. Now, that's the only way I have tried it. So, as far as that's concerned, as far as having just like a run-of-the-mill version of that squad, I haven't leveled it up myself, but I was able to try that team on a developer account with all the pieces or components maxed out. So with all the Zetas and Gear 12 and everything all together, that was the best team I could see out there. I think that would be a pretty strong force to reckon with. But again, you would have to probably get all those components together to make it right. And I don't think that that's such a bad idea because, again, I think we're headed towards a meta involving the Sith, especially when people start to collect Darth Treya. So I think that, if you wanted to make an investment in a squad, you could do a lot worse than, investing into that one. So I think it's a good team. And, again, I did get to try it out with, maxed gear and Zetas, and we put good mods on there, and the team was definitely a force to be reckoned with. When we were testing it out, we couldn't really find teams that were able to beat it initially, and then obviously, I mean, with time, you're always going to find a counter, but definitely a good team, absolutely.
Well, yeah, if you're not going to use Vader in that team, though, you're gonna have to make Scion just like lightning fast. Like he's going to have to be pretty quick out of the gate. Your Thrawn and your Scion are going to have to be very, very quick. Nihilus.
You may want to go with
earlier.
You may want to go with Vader instead of General Kenobi. Because I mean, Scion's already a tank. He's already a taunting tank. So I don't know.
Yeah, I've never tried without Vader, so I don't know. I've had, like, when I built this team, I was like, okay, Palpatine, Vader, Scion, X and Y. I run Vader in this team, but I do use GK sometimes. I use Thrawn, I use Sith Trooper. Sometimes I use Probe Droid. I mean, it depends on the person I'm facing. You can slot in just about any Empire or Sith character in there, depending on the matchup. Whoever you've got. A lot of people run Tarkin. Tarkin's not a bad option. Probe Droid's pretty cool, but I realize that character's not very feasible yet for the masses. But he's cool in there. You get Nihilus and IPD, just like the double. You just take out two characters instantly. It's pretty cool. You get the arena over with. Yeah.
Next question.
Space. This one comes from MCTHR33PO. Does anyone else think there's going to be a lot of new tunes that could come into the game from the new Solo movie? Basically, do you think this new Solo movie will give us just handfuls of new characters? We are getting the new, well, not new, but the Han and Chewie from that movie as the first bounty hunters they're given to us. So, do you think we'll see like a Childish Gambino character in the game?
Yes.
Do you think we'll see, maybe some of these other characters? Probably, maybe there might. I don't know. I haven't seen the trailer. That's all I really know about the new movie. Perhaps there's some new bounty hunter characters that we could see. I don't know. I would imagine to give us at least a handful of these.
Oh, for sure. I think we're going to see another version of Lando. I think we'll see possibly another version of some of these bounty hunters if they decide to throw Bossk or Dengar or maybe. I'm hoping we get to see. I'm hoping we get to see Embo from the cartoons. That would be awesome. But
you remember long ago, like there was like a pack in the Japanese version of the game that accidentally listed Embo as a drop out of one of the packs. You remember that?
Yes.
It was like Embo's listed in maybe like the bounty hunter faction pack, or I don't know which one it was, but he was accidentally in there for the 5 out of 333 shards you can get. So that was odd, and he's in the game on that impossible shore trooper node, I think. Yeah.
Yes.
Like he's in the game, so that would be cool. That would be something that they might already have ready to go, and they're just like sitting on it waiting for this, So that'd be cool. I know in that PvE node, he's a pain. He's tough.
For sure, absolutely. I think that would be really cool, and maybe they add a character like that to the game. We'll see. But I think we're definitely going to get a whole bunch of characters from the Solo movie and possibly some ships as well.
Yeah, and maybe they're going to do this all at once. They'll drop the PvE table on us, give us just drop these new characters on us pretty quickly. Maybe they all have ships that go in these new PvE. Who knows? They've been. The hardware thing, hardware coming soon has been listed in the game. I don't know if it still is, but it was there for a long time. So maybe they're just holding everything just to drop it all on us at once. Because we've gotten all these new game modes and all this new content just all at once, and that'll teach us to ever complain about a lack of content, right? They're like, okay, we're here, just take it all. So
that's true.
Yeah, so it's going to be something I think character driven. I would be shocked if they had another game mode come out in the next month or two. So
Yeah, that'd be cool.
And keep in mind, May the 4th is coming up, and every year they traditionally do something. Maybe not with a character release, but they always do some kind of either specials with the crystals or some sort of double dress, some sort of event in the game for May the 4th. So that is coming too. So that's something to be conscious of. If you're a free to play player, you might want to maybe save up your crystals, be kind of thrifty with them for the next month, because if they do double drops, you want to have some crystals and stuff. For refreshes, there might be a special pack for crystals that stuff like that. So I would save a little bit of crystals if you can for the next 3 weeks until that comes.
For sure. Yeah, I think there's definitely a lot of stuff coming from that movie, and as we get closer to it, I'm sure we'll start to get teased some different things here and there. So, keep your eye out for that too. But do we have any more questions?
No, that's about it. A lot of good chit chat in the chat tonight. People theory crafting, talking about what they use in Territory Wars. A lot of good stuff in the chat. But that's about all the questions I really see. Let's see if any came trickling here at the end.
I think this really weird guy here named Master Goku SS Jr. said, "What's a good team for P4?"
Oh, well, Night Sisters. If you didn't use your, Ray in P1 or P2, definitely use it there versus Nihilus. But if you're in a guild and you have 10 good Asajj lean teams, you can knock out Nihilus pretty easily, and then the rest, or at least it was for us, it's pretty much like we got Nihilus down, and then we just basically spam the rest of our rosters at Scion and Trey until she just 50K'd her to death. Just so.
I feel like the answer for every phase right now is Ray Jedi training. It's like, what's a good team for P1? Ray Jedi training. What's a good team for P4? Ray Jedi training. What's a good team for P3?
Well, that first order team we discussed earlier is not a bad option for P4. You just have to do your damage quick because they've only got the one support in first order officer, to cleanse the bonds. So you got to move kind of quick. But Night Sisters aren't bad. First order's not bad. Night Sisters, Jedi Training Ray are the best options. And even Jedi Training Ray, you're not going to get near or I haven't seen anybody in the guild post scores anywhere close to their P1 scores. So, if you're going to do the Ray, try to be there on time so you get your good Ray run in P1. But there are some other good teams, like the Troopers without Death Trooper, substitute in Thrawn for Death Trooper. That team can rack up. It got me about 600K, but my Troopers are nowhere near phenomenal. They're okay. So if you have a really high end Trooper team, you can probably get way more than that. Maybe come close to about 1 million. Right. There are teams that pick it apart, but for the most part, you get Nihilus down, and then the rest is just auto, go. You can sit there and play it if you want to and retreat all day long, but you're not really going to increase your score that much. You're talking maybe 100,000 for some good RNG. It's too much going on, and just Trey by herself is not. It's not difficult, but you're not going to get. I haven't seen anybody get huge scores in P4 when it's just heads up with Treya.
Right. Yeah. No. It's really difficult to face her alone. And I would say, again, in most of the other phases, you can come up with some different squads besides Ray Jedi Training. But I'd say a Thrawn lead is good because there's protection and regeneration. I'd say. Using Hermit Yoda in as many squads as you can by having him escape is a great way to try to get as much damage as possible. Because that heal is tremendous, especially with all different squads. So I'd say characters like Hermit Yoda, Wampa are essential characters, very important characters for the raid and even P4. So
yeah, I don't have Wampa 7-star, but I've heard a lot of chatter about a Boba Fett Wampa type comp. I don't have any experience with it myself, but that team seems to be putting up some pretty big numbers in a lot of the phases. So if you guys are trying, you guys are struggling with it, just keep pressing on, and just keep tuned into YouTube, keep tuned into just ask questions, because the longer this raid's out, the more creative and the better comps people are going to come up with. It's just I don't know. I would invest wisely in the teams that you're considering. You know, if you have to invest in a team for your race to beat it, that's one thing. But if you're just looking for a team to increase your damage, be real hesitant on these early teams that we're seeing now. You know, because like right now, the tank rate, I just use 5 characters and just pretty much solo halfway through P2 all the way to the end and just get like 30, 35 million. Whereas, you know, a year ago I was using like 5, 6 different teams, you know, so
Yeah.
teams like, bad decisions. I just look at my roster every day. So
Yeah, but that's pretty much it, guys. We're gonna wrap it up here. I appreciate everybody sticking it out for the show. We're definitely looking to be back again next weekend with the live show number 45. Hopefully, we'll have some more information on Bossk at that point. I am scheduled to have an interview with the developers, similar to the rest of the game changers that you've seen so far. So, at some point, there will be an interview with me and the developers, and it will be posted in game with a link to my channel as well. So I hope when you guys do see that, you'll click on it and come check out my video. But other than that, I'll be back also on Saturday this week for the Reality Scoot Gamers Jedi Academy live stream as well on Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern time. So I hope you guys check that out. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, you'd like to discuss anything with me and Maurice, you can come over to the ALLIDNCEGaming.com and follow our link to the Discord so you can come chat with us there, or just check out some of the content. And if you guys want to PM me or send me any messages, I'm always available to talk anytime. But again, I appreciate you guys hanging out, and we'll see you guys on the next one. May the Force be with you guys.